This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for this first edition of CBN NewsWatch for September 6th. I'm Mark Martin. Hurricane Dorian continues to rattle parts of the U.S. East Coast. It is now weakened to a Category 1 hurricane, but high winds, flooding, and tornadoes have brought hardship to much of the Carolinas. Gary Lane brings us more from Virginia Beach.
The worst of Dorian's wrath on the U.S. coast hit south of here. High winds knocked out power to some 270,000 people in North and South Carolina and ripped off siding from apartment buildings.
All of a sudden, the windows broke loose. Everything was swirling in our bedroom.
Officials report at least 5 storm-related deaths, mostly from accidents in preparation. The big risk now, spin-off tornadoes. At least 20 have formed, including in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Storm surge and flooding along coastal and river areas are also a big concern. This was the scene late Thursday afternoon in Wilmington, North Carolina. Dorian is expected to weaken Saturday as it moves out to sea and travels northward to Nova Scotia. Meanwhile, in the Bahamas, where Dorian made landfall as a Category 5 hurricane, the worst in that country's history, more apocalyptic-like views. CBN News contributing correspondent Chuck Holton gives us a flyover look at the devastation Dorian left behind on Abaco Island. Trees and most homes are destroyed. Those that survived are uninhabitable. Holton witnessed a big environmental risk on Grand Bahama Island.
We just flew over a big oil storage area on Grand Bahama, and the tops of some of the oil tanks have blown off, and there's crude oil spilled everywhere.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
A lot to pray about. Operation Blessing, CBN's humanitarian relief organization, is on the ground in the Bahamas. Diego Traverso, the director of Operation Blessing, Mexico's international disaster relief, is there. Our John Jessup and Abigail Robertson spoke with him about what he's seen and the work to help Hurricane Dorian victims.
Diego, we just first want to ask, when did your team arrive in the Bahamas, and what are you all seeing on the ground there?
Hey, Abby. We got here yesterday with a pre-deployment team. Four of us just got here with some supplies, and right now I'm at the airport. Private charter from Judah one of the partners from Operation Blessing, flew from Dallas forward to here with the rest of the team, and more supplies that we're going to be delivering tomorrow in the island of Abaco.
So you're going to be delivering aid. What are some of the other efforts, Diego, that you guys are helping out with?
Most of the efforts are in water. We have a couple solar power devices that can create clean water. So desalinate the water, we put it on the seawater, and we start pumping fresh water. So that's some of the devices that we get. A lot of chlorinators to disinfect and clean water too, filtration systems. So it's many different water devices. Also, we have a medical team with some medicines and basic stuff that we're going to be deploying tomorrow. And also we have a lot of these little ones, solar lamps that probably you guys saw it before in other disasters.
Mm-hmm. And how big is the Operation Blessing team on the ground there? And for those watching at home and want to get involved helping, what is the best way that they can do so?
Right now we're seven people deployed in the island, and we're going to be taking a private boat full of supplies to the most affected island. And you can be praying for us. Please pray for us. Pray for the people in Abaco, and go to www.ob.org. Donate. Even $5 goes really far. Even with $1, we can make some clean water for people. So not even $1 is enough sometimes. So don't worry about it. $20, $100, whatever you can, or just pray for us. We'll be here for long term. The island of Bahama needs our help.
Mm-hmm. And Diego, the pictures we're seeing, particularly from the Abacos, are just devastating. How, on the ground, how does the destruction compare to other disasters that you and your team have covered before?
We have been in Nepal, earthquakes in Indonesia, Haiti, even in Puerto Rico a year and a half ago, and we never had that much troubles to get to the area. Right now, it's very difficult to get there. The islands are totally devastated, and we see only the priority is search and rescue. They're taking bodies and they're rescuing wounded people. That's the priority right now. But we got a lot of people saying we are starving, we're thirsty, we don't have anything to drink. And that's why we're making a double effort to charter this private boat to get there tomorrow so we can start making hot meals, we can start purifying the water for the people. So yeah, it's difficult in that sense, and we will know better when we get there.
Well, Diego, thank you so much for joining us, and we will certainly be praying for you and your team these next few weeks.
Thank you so much. God bless you guys.
And if you want to donate to Operation Blessing, you can see the number there on your screen, 1-800-700-7000, or visit CBN.com to donate to Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. In other news, firefighting crews saved homes in Southern California after gusty winds pushed a fast-moving wildfire to the edge of a neighborhood near the city of Murrieta, southeast of Los Angeles. More than 500 firefighters battled the flames from both the air and the ground. Many people worked quickly to save their homes.
Just depends on how the wind's going to, if it changes direction, then, a lot can change quickly. So that's always a concern.
1,200 people were evacuated. The fire may have been caused by lightning as hot, muggy weather produced thunderstorms. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is under fire for remarks on abortion, birth control, and keeping the population down in the face of climate change.
Especially in poor countries around the world, where women do not necessarily want to have large numbers of babies, and where they can have the opportunity through birth control to control the number of kids they have, something I very, very strongly support.
The Vermont senator's remarks were in response to a question about population growth during a CNN climate change town hall. Chairman Yost of the Heritage Foundation says Sanders was pandering to the abortion lobby.
I thought, I don't know about you, but it was so chilling, that moment when he kind of gave his canned pro-abortion speech, and then the audience broke into applause at the idea of killing babies in order to keep population down.
And that was Charmaine Yost. She also said that abortion that is, will be a major election issue in the 2020 election. President Trump has proclaimed today through Sunday as national days of prayer and remembrance to honor the victims who were killed in the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001. The president's proclamation says in part, since the founding of our republic, we have proclaimed reliance on Almighty God. Prayer has sustained and guided the leaders and citizens of this great nation in times of peace and prosperity and in times of conflict and disaster. Thus, it is fitting that we again turn to our Creator for wisdom, comfort, and peace on this somber occasion, praying for those who lost loved ones at the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and for all who bear the wounds, seen and unseen, of these tragedies. You can read the full proclamation at cbnnews.com. Coming up, what's at stake for Israel, the United States, and the world as Israelis go to the polls for a national election do-over.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
First time ever, Israelis will go back to the polls for national elections twice in 1 year. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell has more on why that's the case and what's at stake.
Israeli voters are expressing different priorities as they plan for the September national elections.
Security matters more than anything else. Things, issues like Iran, like Hamas.
The most important issue for me is to stay a Jewish state, a strong state.
According to political scientist Dr. Emmanuel Navon, however, there's only one real issue.
Netanyahu. That is the topic of the election. Basically, that is what blue and white is all about, being against Netanyahu. Likud is about supporting Netanyahu. And that's also why we are having an early election.
Israelis will have more than 30 political parties or lists to choose from on September 17th. The parties will be competing for 120 Knesset seats. The party winning the most seats will likely be asked to form the next government. And that's where it gets complicated. According to opinion polls, Netanyahu's Likud party is running even with the liberal blue and white party led by Benny Gantz. That means all eyes are on Avigdor Lieberman of the Israel Beitenu party as the potential kingmaker.
Neither Likud nor blue and white have a coalition. In other words, it's very clear from most polls that Netanyahu will not have a right-wing coalition without Lieberman, and Benny Gantz will not have a center-left coalition without Lieberman either.
Lieberman wants a unity government made up of elements from both Likud and blue and white.
In other words, we're not going to go to elections again. Forget about this. There's no such scenario.
Over the summer, Netanyahu became Israel's longest-serving prime minister. Supporters credit him for the strong economy, improving relations with neighboring Arab states, and helping make ties with the U.S. stronger than ever. His detractors point to his legal problems, an upcoming indictment on corruption charges. Israelis are divided.
Our government is very corrupted. I myself very hate Benjamin Netanyahu.
If all your life you went to a dentist or a car person that fixed your car and you're doing a good job for years, why will you replace him, right? The same baby is doing a good job for years.
Our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now with more. Chris, what do you think is going to happen with this election?
Well, Mark, I'm going to quote what I believe is one of Israelis' expert. His name is Eli. He owns a dry cleaners not too far from here. And I asked him about it. He says nobody knows. And I think he's pretty right. In fact, there at the dry cleaners, it actually reflected a lot of what's happening in Israeli society right now. Eli is pro-Bibi. He thinks he's the guy to lead Israel. His nephew, actually, who works with him, Eldad, he hates Bibi. And this is the sentiment you find in Mahane Yehuda, in the air market, where we saw some of these quotes from Israelis. Really a divided country right now. I think one thing is safe to say, Mark, is that you're really going to have a very close vote one way or the other between Likud and blue and white. It remains to be seen how it's going to play out and who's going to be able to lead the next government.
Why is this election so critical?
Well, it's really critical because of all the threats that Israel is facing right now. I think in one sense, in many ways, for example, in Likud and the blue and white, the two main parties, sort of left and right, there's unanimity on Iran, on the danger of Iran. But I think the peace plan is one thing that is a marked difference. And for the last 2.5 years, the Netanyahu government has been working with the Trump administration about the peace plan. So you wonder if it's a blue and white or left-leaning government, what's going to happen to this proposed peace plan that is due to come out just after the Israeli election. So that's one major thing. And it's the tone of the whole Israeli future, I think, will be set by this election. Will it continue to be Bibi Netanyahu, that many think is really the the leader for the time. And certainly he's the one who has really made this diplomatic inroads really around the world, and really has made Israel put it on the map in many ways diplomatically that it wasn't on before.
Israel's prime minister just got back from a last-minute trip to London. What was the reason for that trip?
Well, he met with new Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He also met with U.S. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper. And the reason, Iran. Apparently there have been revelations about Iran's nuclear program. Certainly there's no shortage of issues with Iran. There's an Iranian tanker that's on its way, perhaps to Syria. Just a few days ago, there was a killer drone that was sent by an Iranian team against the Golan Heights. And so it had to do with Iran. Netanyahu came out with a statement just a little while ago about the talks that they had, and they dealt with all the activities that Iran has in the Middle East, and that continues to be the #1 issue threatening Israel right now.
Switching gears now, Chris, can you tell us about this archaeological find that points to where Jesus fed the 5,000?
Yeah, Mark, that's a fascinating story. It's actually a University of Haifa excavation team. They excavated a church near Hippo. Now, Hippo is sort of on the other side of the Sea of Galilee, the traditional site for where Jesus performed the miracle of the loaves and fishes is on Tagba, which is on the north side of the Sea of Galilee. But they excavated this church and they found a mosaic floor. And the mosaic floor actually reflects more accurately the description in the scriptures. And so they think that may actually be the place where Jesus performed his miracle of the loaves and the fishes. Fascinating story. Just one of many of archaeological stories that continue to come out here in Israel.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Tell us what's coming up on Jerusalem Dateline tonight.
Well, on Dateline tonight, we're going to have an interview with Seth Frantzman. He's a man that wrote the book After ISIS. He's been chronicling what's been happening there. It's a fascinating interview. We also have a story about United Hatzalah, which is Israel's innovative way to respond to emergencies. They can respond to an emergency many times within 3 minutes. When you realize it takes usually 15 minutes, it's actually going to save lives. We also have an interview with Julie Stahl, our Middle East correspondent, talking more about the election. So believe it's going to be a fascinating show tonight.
Yeah, sounds like it. Thank you so much, Chris. Our Middle East Bureau Chief, Chris Mitchell, reporting live in Jerusalem. Thanks again, Chris.
Thanks, Mark.
A reminder that you can watch the latest Jerusalem Dateline tonight at 9:30 Eastern here on the CBN News Channel. Still ahead, CBN sports reporter Sean Brown talks football with us as the season kicks off with news on an historic year for the NFL and much more.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
Come home to the Southern Gospel Station from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern Gospel favorites. CBN Southern Gospel. Available now at cbnradio.com.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man, come with...
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Welcome back. Fall is just around the corner, but football season is already here. CBN Sports reporter Sean Brown talked with me about one NFL player's retirement, another's helmet controversy, and why this is such an important season for pro football.
Well, this season marks the 100th season for the NFL, and just think about that. 100 years of the NFL. Now, we know there's roughly over 50 Super Bowls. You know, we're approaching the next Super Bowl here, but over 50 Super Bowls, but there was a season, there was an NFL before that. So come to think of it, most of us only know the Super Bowl era.
Sure, yeah.
But we don't really try to remember what happened before that. There was an NFL before that. So it's just a lot of history, I remember interviewing, I had a chance to interview Mr. Rooney, late owner of the Steelers, and he was telling me that his father he was 1 year old when his father, Art Rooney, founded the team, bought the team. And I believe the price was $2,500.
Wow!
And just to think that there was even more NFL before that, and so it's just an exciting time. I mean, between the Super Bowl in February and now, I think it's the longest time of the year for sports because everybody's kind of itching for some hitting, some passing, some catches, some amazing plays, and finally we're here. But it is an exciting time. 100 years of NFL excellence, and it's really, really exciting.
Well, tell us what's been going on with the Raiders' Antonio Brown. If people are not aware about the fallout that's being played on social media, and played out, that is, on social media, about his helmet and that big fine. Break it down for us.
Right. Well, if you remember going into the season, I guess in the spring, Antonio Brown was having issues with his feet in terms of he had frostbite because of the treatment that he was taking. But after that, the helmet that he was wearing was deemed prohibited. Now, the NFL has a policy. They test all of the helmets. I did a piece to show how the strides that the NFL is making to make the game safer. And helmets and head injuries were at the top of the list. And so they have a process to test which helmets protect you better than other helmets. And if they have a list that they post up in the locker room. And if a particular helmet made by Zenith, Riddell, Visus, any of these brands falls below the line, they will not allow you to wear them. And Antonio Brown's helmet, it fell below the line. And they said, hey, this helmet is deemed prohibited. You cannot take the field with this helmet. And he didn't want to do that. And so he refused to go to practice, because he wanted to wear his helmet. He had 2 appeals to the NFL that he didn't succeed. And so the upside, though, is that other manufacturers began pitching ideas for helmets for him, and now I believe he has a new helmet and a new Zenith that's coming out. If I'm not mistaken, it's the Zenith Shadow that he'll be wearing come Sunday. But that was the issue, and he has fines. He was fined because Mike Mayock, their general manager, said, hey, we run a business here, and you missed time. Sent him a letter that said, hey, we're going to fine you X amount of dollars. I think it totaled maybe $54,000 in fines. And Antonio Brown didn't like that, so he put out the tweet and said, hey, expressed his feelings like Antonio Brown would do. And that's pretty much what that is. He just posted the letter that Mike Mayock sent him that said, hey, this is going to happen. And he responded to it and said, hey, everybody's paying this year, everybody. Now, we'll leave that to interpretation, but I'm looking forward to see how this plays out. But the NFL is very, very strict on helmets that you can wear. Now, mind you, no helmet can get rid of concussions or prevent concussions, but there are better helmets that perform better on the field, and those are the ones that they should wear. There used to be a grace period for players to switch out their helmets, but they did away with that, and so that's been the issue. But he has a helmet. So,
well, quickly, we're short on time, but talk about the Colts. A big blow for them with Andrew Luck retiring, right?
Yes. Okay. So here's the deal: Andrew Luck's had injury upon injury upon injury, and sometimes we forget that these players are people. They're not robots. And if their bodies are out there getting hit, taking hit after hit, at some point, their bodies begin talking to them, and a wise person would listen. And Andrew Luck said, hey, I can't do this anymore. I'm not doing you a service by continuing to push this and make this thing happen if I know I can't give you 100%, if my heart's not completely there. He said his joy was gone. And so once you get to that place, he has a right to say, hey, you know what? I need to walk away right now. I don't want to prolong this thing. This is where I'm at. I know what this is doing to the team. I love you guys, but I can't be my best right now. And that's really what that's about. Andrew will be fine, and so will the Colts.
And quickly, what's going to be happening this weekend on your show, Going the Distance?
Going the Distance, man. We're going to be talking more about Antonio Brown and the helmet. I'm actually going to show that piece where we break down how the NFL test all the helmets in that process. That's the most exciting thing. And we got some other exciting stories coming up as well. So be sure to tune in Saturday, 7:30 Eastern, Sunday, 6:30 Eastern.
That's right. Once again, the reminder, Going the Distance with Sean Brown airs Saturday night, like Sean said, at 7:30 and Sunday night at 6:30. Coming up, good news from one of America's favorite TV game show hosts on his battle with cancer.
Are you suffering from feeling tired or worn out during the day? Can you not turn off your brain at night? You are not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, and I've partnered with the Christian Broadcasting Network, and we're gonna bring you some unbelievable information that you can use tonight to get a better night's rest.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free copy of Protect Your Sleep today.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government.
My focus has been trying to really make sure we have the future leaders we need for the bench and the bar and for society generally.
You'll learn from highly credentialed leaders who are current and former judges, distinguished scholars, and ACLJ counsel.
I'm so glad I chose Regent. The relationships here have been amazing. The faculty have been amazing. Not everybody's called to the same thing when they leave law school, but they're called by God who has a purpose for their lives, and He is going to use that education to make a difference in the world.
Regent will prepare you to be a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer. To start your rewarding law career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July. Apply today.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
Jeopardy host Alex Trebek has returned to work, saying he's on the mend following treatment for pancreatic cancer. The game show posted a video of the 79-year-old host back on set and promising a good year ahead. New episodes of the upcoming season 36 are slated to begin airing September 9th. Trebek announced his diagnosis in March. He said he planned to beat the disease's low survival rate with the love and support of family and friends and with prayers from viewers. A lot of prayers went up for Alex Trebek. That's going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.